20th of Simpsonville, South Carolina. The Ebb-Tide by Robert Louis Stevenson and Lloyd Osborne. Chapter 6. The Partners. Each took a side of the fixed table. It was the first time they had sat down at it together, but now all sense of incongruity, all memory of differences, was quite swept away by the presence of the common ruin. "Gentlemen," said the captain, after a pause, and with very much the air of a chairman opening a board meeting, "we're sold." Whish broke out in laughter. "Well, if this ain't the highest old rig!" he cried. "And Davis here, who thought he had got up so bloomin' early in the mornin'. We've stolen a cargo of spring water. Oh, my crikey!" And he squirmed with mirth. The captain managed to screw out a phantom smile. "Here's Old Man Destiny again," said he to Herrick. "But this time, I guess he's kicked the door right in." Herrick only shook his head. "Oh, Lord, it's rich!" laughed Whish. "It would really be a scrumptious lark if it had happened to somebody else. And what are we to do next? Oh, my eye, with this bloomin' schooner, too!" "That's the trouble," said Davis. "There's only one thing certain. It's no use carting this old glass and ballast to Peru. No, sir, we're in a hole." "Oh, my, and the merchant!" cried Whish. "The man that made the shipment. He'll get the news by the mail brigantine, and he'll think, of course, we're making straight for Sydney." "Yes, he'll be a sick merchant," said the captain. "One thing, this explains the Kanaka crew. If you're going to lose a ship, I would ask no better myself than a Kanaka crew. But there's one thing it don't explain. It don't explain why she came down Tahiti ways." "Why, to lose her, you baby," said Hush. "A lot you know," said the captain. "Nobody wants to lose a schooner. They want to lose her on her course, you skirricks. You seem to think underwriters haven't got enough sense to come in out of the rain." "Well," said Herrick, "I can tell you, I am afraid, why she came so far to the eastward. I had it of Uncle Ned. It seems these two unhappy devils, Wiseman and Wishart, were drunk on the champagne from the beginning, and died drunk at the end." The captain looked on the table. "They lay in their two bunks, or sat here in this damned house," he pursued with rising agitation, "filling their skins with the accursed stuff, till sickness took them. As they sickened and the fever rose, they drank the more. They lay here howling and groaning, drunk and dying, all in one. They didn't know where they were, they didn't care. They didn't even take the sun, it seems." "Not take the sun!" cried the captain, looking up. "Sacred Billy, what a crowd!" "Well, it don't matter to Joe," said Whish. "What are Wiseman and t'other buffer to us?" "A good deal, too," says the captain. "We're their heirs, I guess." "It is a great inheritance," said Herrick. "Well, I don't know about that," returned Davis. "Appears to me as if it might be worse. 'Tain't worth what the cargo would have been, of course, at least not money down. But I'll tell you what it appears to figure up to. Appears to me as if it amounted to about the bottom dollar of the man in 'Frisco." "Hold on," said Whish. "Give a fellow time. How's this, umpire?" "Well, my sons," pursued the captain, who seemed to have recovered his assurance, "Wiseman and Wishart were to be paid for casting away this old schooner and its cargo. We're going to cast away the schooner right enough, and I'll make it my private business to see that we get paid. What were W. and W. to get? That's more'n I can tell. But W. and W. went into this business themselves. They were on the crook. Now we're on the square, We only stumbled into it, and that merchant has just got to squeal, and I'm the man to see that he squeals good. No, sir, there's some stuffing to this Farallone racket after all." "Go it, Cap!" cried Whish. "Yoicks! Forward! Old 'ard! There's your style for the money. Blow me if I don't prefer this to the nother."
"I do not understand," said Herrick. "I have to ask you to excuse me. I do not understand."
"Well now, see here, Herrick," said Davis. "I'm going to have a word with you anyway upon a different matter, and it's good that Huish should hear it too. We're done with this boozing business, and we ask your pardon for it right here and now. We have to thank you for all you did for us while we were making hogs of ourselves. You'll find me turn to all right in future. And as for the wine, which I grant we stole from you, I'll take stock and see you paid for it. That's good enough, I believe. But what I want to point out to you is this. The old game was a risky game. The new game's as safe as running a Vienna bakery. We just put this Farallone before the wind and run till we're well to leeward of our port of departure and reasonably well up with some other place, where they have an American consul. Down goes the Farallone, and good-bye to her. A day or so in the boat, the consul packs us home, at Uncle Sam's expense, to 'Frisco, and if that merchant don't put the dollars down, you come to me."
"But I thought," began Herrick, and then broke out, "Oh, let's get on to Peru."
"Well, if you're going to Peru for your health, I won't say no," replied the captain. "But for what other blame shadow of a reason you should want to go there gets me clear. We don't want to go there with this cargo. I don't know as old bottles is a lively article anywheres. Leastways, I'll go my bottom cent, it ain't Peru. It was always a doubt if we could sell the schooner. I never rightly hoped to, and now I'm sure she ain't worth a hill of beans. What's wrong with her, I don't know. I only know it's something, or she wouldn't be here with this truck in her inside. Then again, if we lose her, and land in Peru, where are we? We can't declare the loss, or how did we get to Peru? In that case the merchant can't touch the insurance. Most likely he'll go bust. And don't you think you see the three of us on the beach of Callao?"
"There's no extradition there," said Herrick.
"Well, my son, and we want to be extraded," said the captain. "What's our point? We want to have a consul extrade us as far as San Francisco and that merchant's office door. My idea is that Samoa will be found an eligible business center. It's dead before the wind, the States have a consul there, and 'Frisco steamers call, so's we could skip right back and interview the merchant."
"Samoa," said Herrick. "It will take us forever to get there."
"Oh, with a fair wind," said the captain. "No trouble about the log, eh?" asked Whish. "No, sir," said Davis. "Light airs and baffling winds, squalls and calms, DR 5 miles, no observations, pumps attended, and fill in the barometer and thermometer off of last year's trip. Never saw such a voyage, says you to the consul. Thought I was going to run short." He stopped in mid-career. "Say," he began again, and once more stopped. "Beg your pardon, Herrick," he added with undisguised humility, "but did you keep the run of the stores?"
"Had I been told to do so, it should have been done, as the rest was done to the best of my little ability," said Herrick. "As it was, the cook helped himself to what he pleased." Davis looked at the table.
"I drew it rather fine, you see," he said at last. "The great thing was to clear right out of Papeete before the consul could think better of it. Tell you what, I guess I'll take stock." And he rose from table and disappeared with a lamp in the lazarette. "Here's another screw loose," observed Huish. "My man," said Herrick, with a sudden gleam of animosity, "it is still your watch on deck, and surely your wheel also?" "You come the heavy swell, don't you, ducky?" said Huish. "Stand away from that binnacle. Surely your wheel, my man. Yeah." He lit a cigar ostentatiously and strolled into the waist with his hands in his pockets. In a surprisingly short time, the captain reappeared. He did not look at Herrick, but called Huish back and sat down. "Well," he began, "I've taken stock, roughly." He paused as if for somebody to help him out, and none doing so, both gazing on him instead with manifest anxiety, he yet more heavily resumed. "Well, it won't fight. We can't do it, that's the bedrock. I'm as sorry as what you can be, and sorrier. We can't look near Samoa. I don't know as we could get to Peru." "What you mean?" asked Huish brutally. "I can't most tell myself," replied the captain. "I drew it fine. I said I did, but what's been going on here gets me. Appears as if the devil had been around. That cook must be the holiest kind of fraud. Only 12 days, too. Seems like craziness. I'll own up square to one thing. I seem to have figured too fine upon the flour. But the rest, my land! I'll never understand it. There's been more waste on this twopenny ship than what there is to an Atlantic liner." He stole a glance at his companions. Nothing good was to be gleaned from their dark faces, and he had recourse to rage. "You wait till I interview that cook!" He roared and smote the table with his fist. "I'll interview the son of a gun so he's never been spoken to before. I'll put a bead upon the—" "You will not lay a finger on the man," said Herrick. "The fault is yours, and you know it. If you turn a savage loose in your storeroom, you know what to expect. I will not allow the man to be molested." It is hard to say how Davis might have taken this defiance, but he was diverted to a fresh assailant. "Well," drawled Huish, "you're a plummy captain, ain't you? You're a bloomin' captain. Don't you set up any of your chat to me, John Davis. I know you now. You ain't any more use than a bloomin' doll. Oh, you don't know, don't you? Oh, it gets you, do it? Oh, I dessay. Why ain't you howlin' for fresh tins every blessed day? How often have I heard you send the old bloomin' dinner off and tell the man to chuck it in the swill tub? And breakfast! Oh, my crikey! Breakfast for 10, and you hollerin' for more! And now you can't most tell! Blow me, if it ain't enough to make a man write an insultin' letter to God! You draw it mild, John Davis. Don't handle me. I'm dangerous." Davis sat like one bemused. He might even have been doubted if he heard, but the voice of the clerk rang about the cabin like that of a cormorant among the ledges of the cliff. "That will do, Huish," said Herrick. "Oh, so you take his part, do you? You stuck-up sneerin' snob! Take it, then. Come on, the pair of you. But as for John Davis, let him look out. He struck me the first night aboard, and I never took a blow yet but what I gave as good. Let him knuckle down on his marrow bones and beg my pardon. That's my last word." "I stand by the captain," said Herrick. "That makes us 2 to 1, both good men, and the crew will all follow me. I hope I shall die very soon, but I have not the least objection to killing you before I go. I should prefer it so. I should do it with no more remorse than winking. Take care. Take
care, you little cad!" The animosity with which these words were uttered was so marked in itself, and so remarkable in the man who uttered them that Huish stared, and even the humiliated Davis reared up his head and gazed at his defender. As for Herrick, the successive agitations and disappointments of the day had left him wholly reckless. He was conscious of a pleasant glow, an agreeable excitement. His head seemed empty, his eyeballs burned as he turned them. His throat was dry as a biscuit. The least dangerous man by nature, except in so far as the weak are always dangerous, at that moment he was ready to slay or be slain with equal unconcern. Here at last was the gage thrown down and battle offered. He who should speak next would bring the matter to an issue there and then. All knew it to be so, and hung back. And for many seconds by the cabin clock, the trio sat motionless and silent. Then came an interruption, welcome as the flowers in May. "Land ho!" sang out a voice on deck. "Land a weather bow!" "Land!" cried Davis, springing to his feet. "What's this? There ain't no land here." And as men may run from the chamber of a murdered corpse, the three ran forth out of the house and left their quarrel behind them undecided. The sky shaded down at the sea level to the white of opals. The sea itself, insolently inkily blue, drew all about them the uncompromising wheel of the horizon. Search it as they pleased, not even the practised eye of Captain Davis could descry the smallest interruption. A few filmy clouds were slowly melting overhead, and about the schooner, as around the only point of interest, a tropic bird, white as a snowflake, hung and circled and displayed, as it turned, the long vermilion feather of its tail. Save the sea and the heaven, that was all. "Who sang out land?" asked Davis. "If there's any boy playing funny dog with me, I'll teach him skylarking." But Uncle Ned contentedly pointed to a part of the horizon, where a greenish, filmy iridescence could be discerned floating like smoke on the pale heavens. Davis applied his glass to it, and then looked at the Kanaka. "Call that land?" said he. "Well, it's more than I do." "Some time long ago," said Uncle Ned, "I see an eye all the same dat. 4-5 hours before we come up. Cap'n he say sun go down, sun go up again. He say lagoon all the same miller." "All the same what?" asked Davis. "Miller, sir," said Uncle Ned. "Oh, aye, mirror," said Davis. "I see, reflection from the lagoon. Well, you know, it is just possible, though it's strange I never heard of it before. Here, let's look at the chart." They went back to the cabin and found the position of the schooner well to windward of the archipelago in the midst of a white field of paper. "There, you see for yourselves," said Davis. "And yet I don't know," said Herrick. "I somehow think there's something in it. I'll tell you one thing too, Captain, that's all right about the reflection. I heard it in Papeete." "Fetch up that Finlay, then," said Davis. "I'll try it all ways. An island wouldn't come amiss the way we're fixed." The bulky volume was handed up to him, broken backed as is the way with Finlay, and he turned to the place and began to run over the text, muttering to himself and turning over the pages with a wetted finger. "Hullo!" he exclaimed. "How's this?" And he read aloud. "New Island. According to Monsieur de Lisle, this island, which from private interests would remain unknown, lies, it is said, in latitude 12 degrees 49 minutes 10 seconds south longitude, 113 degrees 6 minutes west. In addition to the position above given, Commander Matthews, HMS Scorpion, states that an island exists in latitude 12 degrees 0 minutes south longitude, 13 degrees 16 minutes west. This must be the same, if such an island exists, which is very doubtful, and totally disbelieved in by South Sea traders. Golly, said Huish. It's rather in the conditional mood, said Herrick. It's anything you please, cried Davis. Only there it is. That's our place, and don't you make any mistake. Which from private interest would remain unknown, read Herrick over his shoulder. What may that mean? It should mean pearls, said Davis. A pearling island the government don't know about. That sounds like real estate. Or suppose it don't mean anything. Suppose it's just an island. I guess we could fill up with fish and coconuts and native stuff and carry out the Samoa scheme hand over fist. How long did he say it was before they raised Anaya? 5 hours, I think? 4 or 5, said Herrick. Davis stepped to the door. What breeze had you that time you made Anaya, Uncle Ned? Said he. 6 or 7 knots, was the reply. 30 or 35 miles, said Davis. High time we were shortening sail then. If it is an island, we don't want to be butting our head against it in the dark. And if it isn't an island, we can get through it just as well by daylight. Ready about, he roared. And the schooner's head was laid for that elusive glimmer in the sky, which began already to pale in luster and diminish in size, as the stain of breath vanishes from a window-pane. At the same time she was reefed close down. End of chapter 6.